Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Heather Frierson, and I am your host of the Business Spotlight podcast. And today I have Ron Page, founder, franchiser, and CEO of Mainstream Construction Services LLC. And I'm so glad he's here with me today. We're going to be talking about his journey to business ownership, the challenges, best practices, and really just share a sneak peek of what it's really like to build and operate a business. So if this is your first time to the channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when a new show or conversation drops just like this one. Well, Ron, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, I would just love for you to give us just a little bit of a background of who you are and tell us a little bit about your business.
Absolutely. My name is Ron Page. I am the founder, franchisor, and CEO of Mainstream Construction Services, just as she mentioned. And this business has been a long journey for me to even get to this point in my life. If we're going to do a little rewind about how I even got. I was born and raised in El Paso, Texas, in the 70s. So I'm kind of showing my age here.
It's okay.
I have a very good upbringing with a family that was long-lived entrepreneurs. And so I got to see exactly how they were operating their businesses. I got to really just kind of look at my family's work ethic, as a whole. They were very dedicated. They were money driven. I'm not going to lie, but they were very good to their employees. And so I noticed that right off the bat while I was in high school. And I even asked one of my uncles who owned a very successful business at the time, and asked him for a job. And he said, well, I would love to have you. The problem is that I don't like to mix business with family. And so I said, okay, that's very interesting. And I didn't realize that he had a brother where he did try to do that once before, and it unfortunately unfolded poorly between the two of them. So I understood where he was coming from, though, because sometimes it just doesn't work, right? So, but I took a little bit of what he was doing in his success business, and when I went to college and after college, I got into corporate America. I started working for Wilson Sporting Goods as their golf rep because I used to play on the mini tours prior to that. And
wow.
But I had I had a great journey as far as the golf business was concerned, because I got to travel all over the country, got to meet with the PGA pros, and of course, do the whole corporate American sales and marketing, just lifestyle. Wilson Sporting Goods was very good because they offered me at a very young age a territory, which I had the Oklahoma, Kansas, Arkansas, Southwest Missouri territory. So it was a lot of ground to cover. And I was able to just dive in and start meeting clients right off the bat. And I had moved from Scottsdale, Arizona, by the way. So I had had already lived in like 5 states, 13 cities since I had graduated high school. And then I put myself through college and did the whole 9 yards with all that. But I was really excited about trying to get into corporate America because I knew there was some structure and discipline that I had never really learned on my own before. And I did see, like I said, I had family members that were entrepreneurs, and I learned like their work ethics, but I didn't see exactly like their structure and discipline on how they were able to do it for themselves, because they also did go to college, by the way. They just they implemented their own style of it, right? So I got to start from the ground up in corporate America. I was a territory manager for Wilson Sporting Goods. Then I became a territory manager for Shrixon Sports USA, which is the golf balls that they play with on tour. And then my territory minimized from 4 states to 2. So it was just Oklahoma and Arkansas. But then as I started getting more acclimated and wanting to chase that golden carrot, as they say, I ended up moving into the oil and gas industry from the golf industry. And so my goal was to get back to Texas because I really had loved Austin. I had came to school here in the late 90s, and it was just where I wanted to end up. So I started working for a hydraulic pump manufacturer out of Oklahoma City that ended up giving me the Texas region to cover. And when I moved back into Texas, I lived in Dallas for about, I want to say it was 3 years. And then during that time frame, I had gotten an offer to work in the medical field. So I did another switch of industries at that time after working for that hydraulic pump manufacturer out of Oklahoma. So I'm bouncing. I'm going from golf industry to oil and gas, and then now I'm in the medical field. And of course, I'm like I said, I'm chasing the golden carrot because I wanted to start getting to a certain lifestyle and progressing with my finances, right? And I noticed that there's always going to be money to be made in the medical field. So I was very excited to be joining into that industry. I started as a rep for a occupational healthcare clinic. And then what they had decided to do is after I started winning awards with them, they promoted me to a regional sales manager and then moved my former late wife and I down to Austin back in 2011. So I was responsible for the Central Texas region, and all the reps that I had to manage were underneath me in the San Antonio and Austin market. And we killed it and did great there. Of course, I move into now construction, right? So just the carrot was just getting closer and closer and closer. Yeah. Really wanted to grab it. Construction in Austin, obviously, has just been booming since I moved here back in 2011. And when I decided to make that switch, I had gotten an offer from a paint contracting broker based out of Pennsylvania, and they offered me like a commercial sales manager position. And so I grew that here. And then after a couple of years working with them, I just decided to make the plunge and move into entrepreneurship for myself because I was ready. I felt I had enough structure and discipline from corporate America to finally take the plunge into working for myself and being able to be dedicated and not necessarily money driven, but it was I wanted to excel, right? I had started a new family, and that comes with expenses and all that. So you have to make a certain living, especially in Austin, because the cost of living went up. So when I started Mainstream, it was Mainstream Painting LLC, which that is another entity that I still own to this day. That entity was started and founded in 2014. That entity was, like I said, I was a paint contractor in just the Austin area. But then I did take a little bit of what I learned from the previous employer. They were teaching me how to franchise for their brand at one time. And because I was working for the franchisee of this market, but the franchise or parent company out of Pennsylvania was kind of showing me the ropes because they were wondering what I was doing here that was being so successful that other markets in the nation were not doing. So, and I said, a lot of it is I've implemented the successes from the golf industry, the oil and gas industry, the medical industry, and I've put it now into the construction industry. So all that, in a big pot of gumbo, as they say in Louisiana, I literally did all that. And then now that's what I've made Mainstream. And so Mainstream was kind of formulated that way. I took the corporate American structure model, but I made it more family oriented, made it more people who are valued, but not feeling like they're being pressured to consistently hit certain goals or else they're out on the street in a week. I don't believe in that philosophy whatsoever. I believe in rewarding and inspiring other people to be more successful by giving them certain rewards monthly, quarterly, annually. And so that is the corporate side of rewarding, yes. But I was able to implement that more and then make people feel like they have buy-in with the company. That way, if they're wanting to give me some of their advice, I'm open to it versus just saying it's my way or the highway, because I don't believe in that philosophy at all. And so that was one of the benefits of how we were able to grow so fast in the painting company. And then I was starting to franchise within 10 months of that brand being launched. And the first franchise was in San Antonio, and then the second one was in Denver, Colorado. So now I'm going into other states at this point, and this was all within a 10 to 12 month period.
Wow.
That, and very quickly, the growth was becoming a little overwhelming, I'm not going to lie, because then I found myself to be in 3 states and 7 cities within a year and a half. Ooh, that was a lot.
That's a lot.
And it was a lot of travel, because the difference between franchising with other companies and franchising with Mainstream is that I believe in building a franchise from the ground up. We'll call it a corporate franchise. And then once it's self-sustaining and has its own generated revenue along with a staff that's there to support it, then I put it up for sale. That's what I do differently. I don't just go out and vet people to sell them a franchise and then pat them on the back and say, good luck, go make me proud. I don't believe in that. So a lot of other companies do that just so they can get the royalties and the obviously the buy-in payment. I don't believe in that philosophy at all. I do believe that if I can support them before they even write a check to buy in, then that goes to show that they know I care and that I'm going to be there for them if they have questions or if they hit any speed bumps. So that was starting to happen that way. Well, then all this growth's happening, and all of a sudden I'm getting asked by our clients, painting's great, Ron, but can you do other stuff for us? Like, you have other services you offer? And the answer that I decided to go ahead and move forward with was, let me go ahead and start finding some skilled laborers in different trades. And that way I can say yes. And so what I ended up doing was getting a list of people who I knew would be fantastic at representing the brand for me and bringing them on board and then adding to that portfolio. So that started working. So then we became Mainstream Painting and Construction in like 2016, 2017. And everything was going great. But then I started getting calls from clients saying, everything's great, Ron. We appreciate it. You're advertising very, very well. You're on TV now. You're doing radio. You're doing a lot of social media. But it's hard for some of our boards when they make a decision, if you're bidding on a masonry project or a roofing project, but you're still Mainstream Painting and Construction. So just that painting sticks in the mind and the psyche of a human. So they need to get that out. So why would they want to feel comfortable awarding a project to a painting company that has added, right, quote unquote? But I took their advice and I said, that's a great point. I don't want to lose out on opportunities just because, our name, right? So then I was told either change the name completely with that LLC or start a new one. And so what we decided to do in 2019 was start Mainstream Construction Services LLC. And we added to the Mainstream brand, family brand. And so now we have a painting contracting business. And now we, on one hand, and on the other hand, we have the construction side. So that construction side just took off, of course. This is pre-pandemic now. Like I said, 2019, murdered it the first year. Had a great, people were very receptive because of the name, the name Mainstream was already catchy and people are like, oh, it's got to be the same owner, same people. Yeah, okay, cool. Well, then, of course, the pandemic hit and things fluctuated for us, but we didn't really take a big hit like we thought we were going to. We only lost that year about $200,000 in revenue, which was not bad for that time because we had already grown. We were growing like 35% a year prior to that. So to take just only a $200,000 loss in the pandemic year, especially with a new brand, right, that's just got launched, it was not bad. Like I wasn't displeased, let's put it that way. And
yeah, for sure.
my staff on the sales side, what they started implementing in 2021, which happened to have been an amazing year for everybody at that time, was we started leaning more towards the we had to kind of restructure a little bit. We went from doing a lot of commercial projects to a lot more residential, right? And why did that happen? Because of course, during the pandemic, a lot of people got stuck at home, right? They started seeing around the house, well, honey, what do you think? Should we just go ahead and do this in the living room now? Because now that I'm sitting here all day, I don't want to see this anymore, right? So then all our residential side of the business just started taking off. And then it went from what used to be 80% commercial, 20% residential, to then 80% residential, 20% commercial. But then now, if we're going to talk from 2021 to 2024, we've been able to balance it back out to where it's like a 40-60 now. So it's 2 years, but we'd love to be at that perfect 50-50, right, on both sides. It's just we'll see where we're headed. But right now we've been able to do a lot of like all types of projects. We do high-rise condominiums downtown. We did the Independent, which is that Jenga looking board building downtown. We did that for 2 years. We've done a lot of historic hotels on renovations, and we just do a lot of commercial work for the networks that we belong to, because we belong to like national networks right now, and so that's where we get a lot of our leads from, and so that's how we operate that way. But a lot of what's changed post-pandemic is we've had to gear and be a little bit more receptive to homeowner needs, because let's be real with everybody, homeowners can be very picky, whereas in commercial, it's very black and white. A lot of people are like, oh, it's an office building. Yeah, we don't need to make it look like the 16th chapel, right? So that's the reason how what we've had to do, and my staff has had to become a little bit more patient with homeowners' needs, requests, wants, desires, and needs, all of it. So, but we're doing good. This year we have actually increased our revenue from last year, whereas a lot of companies are going in the opposite direction. We're at a 22% increase, because we did take a drop in 2022 from 2021, and another one in 2023 from 2022. This year, like we're on the hill back up, right? As they said, the roller coaster ride, we're going up. And
good news.
Yes, that is good news. And then of course, what we have in our pipeline for 2025 is just unheard of at this point. So we anticipate having a very good 2025 moving forward in 2026. I'm very blessed because I have a staff that are they're very loyal, they're dedicated, they're patient now, like I said, with and we all are driven by our faith. That's one of the things that we all have in common. So that separates us from a lot of other companies, is that we're very faith driven. And we all pray together, believe it or not. We do have a person that works in our organization that used to be a pastor. And so, and he's very, very inspirational just on the side. If someone's feeling down and out, whether it's, due to personal reasons or work-related reasons or spiritual, he's kind of that uplifting voice in our group. So that is very valuable in our business. So, we've been through some stuff, but we've a lot though too,
Sounds like it. Like there's so much richness there in your story that I think so many people can identify with. One, from your journey from golf to oil, just the different backgrounds you have. But one of the things that stood out to me that I think our listeners would love to know, you said something about you learned some things from corporate America that you brought in to the business. And a lot of entrepreneurs maybe start out as entrepreneurs and don't have that background. What are one or two things that you learned from corporate America that you feel like entrepreneurs should really know?
Wake up on time. Don't sleep in. People do that when they work from home. Because every rep job that I had prior to being an entrepreneur allowed me to work from home. And in my earlier years, like I said, I started in the corporate American world at 23. And so at 23 years old, I was forcing myself to wake up early when I didn't have, because they didn't say I had to wake up at a certain hour. As long as I hit my goal that month, they didn't really care what my schedule was like. I knew for me, if I didn't wake up, especially in a market where a lot of people are morning people, like in what they call the South Central section of the United States, which is at Oklahoma, Kansas, Arkansas, Southwest Missouri, a lot of morning risers in that part of the U.S. So why? Because they're so used to different lifestyle, like with farming and different backgrounds.
Makes sense.
So I was doing that, and I was forcing because I'll be honest with you, I'm not really a morning person, but I started making myself become one, and so that's very valuable.
That's good.
They implemented that, not necessarily in the golf industry, but it was very big in the oil and gas industry, because people 5 in the morning in oil and gas. And then they sometimes get off at 3 or 4 in the afternoon. So they're working 10 to 12 shifts a day.
You know who you're working for. You knew who your customer was.
Exactly.
Yeah. So wake up early. I think that's valuable.
Yes.
What else did you implement?
Reporting systems, being able to truly report to, whether it's your superiors or whether it's to your staff, if you're an entrepreneur, to let everyone know where you've literally stand number wise, what your accomplishments, what your failures are, what your struggles are, without having a kind of an online reporting system for yourself. It's hard to achieve your goals. And then of course, if they have to implement one for you, that's never a good sign. So do it for yourself first before it has to be done for you. That's
that's really good advice. I think that's really good. You've talked a lot about, you said we a lot. And I would imagine that this is not something you do alone or even start alone. What does that structure look like? Have you had investors, especially getting to this franchisor state that you're in now? Do you have a co-founder? How did you get here?
I'm glad you brought up the we thing, because that was one of the things I learned in sales 101, as they say, in all industries, by the way, is that you can't do anything alone when you are trying to grow a system. And I did found this company alone. I don't have partners. I never have, but I always like to give people the respect that they deserve. And so when I say the word we, I include my entire team, from the guy nailing putting the nail in the wall, all the way up to who. So the point of the matter is it's a team effort. I have different divisions in our company. We have a sales division, we have a project management division, we have an IT division, administrative division as well. But without all those divisions, we don't make it. That's why we all the time.
I like that. It's very true. And that's incredible that you've learned that. What would you say your leadership style is? You kind of described it there a little bit, but what would you say, if you had to sum it up in a sentence, what would you say your style is?
After everything we've been through, I would say that my style is, I want to give people the freedom to be able to show me what their talents are. So I take a step back. Now, when I do my vetting process, obviously in the beginning stage of hiring someone, or even if someone's referred to me for hire, then I'll do my homework, of course. And that's just normal. That's XYZ for any entrepreneur. What I try to tell people is, listen, I don't want to have to babysit you. You're a grown person. If you have fantastic ideas and different ways of thinking that can be beneficial for the company, then yes, I'm all ears. I don't, it's not my way or the highway. So I really want these people to feel like they're at home, that they're comfortable, because when they feel in that mindset that they're working in, they're going to do really well. And
Yeah.
in turn, we all capitalize from that. So if they're happy,
Mhm.
I'm happy. If I'm happy, they're happy. Like
Right.
one big gumbo melting pot, like I said, of just good stuff. So
Yeah. I really like that you're empowering others because it does make for a better team for sure.
sure.
I want to move a little bit into marketing, especially since you have a couple of different entities and you talked a little bit about how you've done TV and different marketing strategies. What are some of the most successful marketing strategies you've seen work for mainstream construction?
So we started a podcast, believe it or not, back in 2021, and we've had to put it on pause because part of the growth, like I was telling you about prior, is we were moving a little too fast in the franchising department.
Mhm.
And since I'm the one that has to travel to get it going from the foundation up, uh, like I said, the pandemic hit, right?
Mhm.
And after the pandemic hit, I personally ended up getting the COVID Delta and came this
Mm.
to just calling it a day. Um,
Oh my goodness.
what had happened is we had just implemented our podcast. That podcast called Reimagine, Remodel, Restore. It's still all over the place. You can still listen to all the episodes that we have. But the one of the ones that really captured, I think, a lot of listeners was uh, how do you deal with COVID in the workplace, right? At that time, it was
Mhm.
big. But when it's your leader and everything is on the line, you know, do you tuck tail and run and go find another job?
Mm.
He or she may not make it. And you don't know what contingency plan they have set in place. Or do you, try to tough it out and then take on a leadership role without realizing that you're now next in line to possibly take over?
Mm.
And so that was a big topic of conversation that we had with guests on our show. And that was really, really well. And of course, I gave props to all the people who helped save my life
Mhm.
during the time frame because
Absolutely.
I even had the doctor come on the podcast, and I had the nursing staff that came to my home to save my life because I was literally this close to calling it a day in my own home that day.
Wow.
Were amazing. I mean, I'll
What
always
what's the name of the podcast again? Because I want to go listen to that one.
sure reimagine, remodel,
Re-
restore.
That's what I got by with Ron Page.
Yes, yeah, I'm the
So
host.
do you think being vulnerable like that helps with your team or even, we talked a little bit about marketing. Do you think just being transparent is probably the best word to use with getting your name out there?
1000%. I mean, the podcast was just one example. I mean, we did a lot of television interviews with a
Hmm.
company called Biz TV, and they were allowing us to come monthly and ask us questions in person. And then we would be able to put those interview clips on social media. And that just viral left and right.
Hmm.
Um, they were very good to us. And so I'll always give them props because of that. But
Hmm.
we are always looking at working with other people too, because we like to expand. We're not just, going to be ancient dinosaurs and saying, oh, it's just going to be this way forever. And that's it. We don't do that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I would think with someone like construction, you want to be able to, or customers,
mhm.
and you can tell me, want to feel safe. And by putting yourself out there in such a different way, maybe than other people in the market, set you apart. Would you think that there are different ways that other entrepreneurs can do that for their businesses?
Depends if they have the time, right? So, like
Mm.
I said, I'm very blessed because I have different divisions that allow me to do extracurriculars like a podcast, for example, or
Hmm.
on a television network and do an interview, a live interview, or, uh, do what we're doing today. This,
Yeah. Yeah.
like right now, we have a team working as we speak while I get to do this with you. So I'm very, again,
Hmm.
that's why I always say the word we. My team is always going to get that recognition, that respect, because I cannot do this alone. I wouldn't even be in this position right now if it wasn't for them. And one
Yeah.
of the things I like to say too is that, what makes a successful entrepreneur is that you hire people smarter than you in different areas that you're not talented in. You find them, you let them know that they're very valued in that position, and that they're going to bring something to the table that you would not be able to do without them. And I really let people know that all the time. So that way, like I said, people need to feel valued, especially in today's world. Enough compliments going around anymore, in general, without even saying the work business, the work side. I do know that for me, I just want everyone to feel safe. These are clients, that is, now that we're talking years here. Clients are going to always feel safe with the people that we bring into their homes, that we bring into their buildings, whatever existing structure or structure they want us to build from the ground up, that they're with quality people who mean business, but are also for their best needs.
When you look at your business as a whole, what percentage of marketing do you think is important to maybe set aside for your businesses?
65% is what I do.
Oh, that's very solid.
Yeah.
65%.
Yeah. It used to be 80. It was a lot more. But right now we've had to be, due to inflation, we've had to drop about 15% of our marketing budget and put it towards the reserve account to keep things. So just in case, right? It's something. So for insurance purposes or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Marketing's so important. I want to fast forward just a little bit with all of your businesses, especially Mainstream, and ask you, where do you see yourself being in the next 3 to 5 years?
I would like to do less travel in the next 3 to 5 years. I've been grooming 2 people right now to really start taking over the larger markets and the franchising role. So if I had it my way, and this is if God allows this, I would love to start just kind of doing minimal amount of babysitting, if you will, when it comes to making sure everything's in order. Because again, I don't have to babysit the people I work with. I trust them enough. They've proven that. Again, that's one of the reasons why they stay with me, because I give them that freedom. As long as they can continue to keep producing, I don't need to get in their way. So what I would like to do less of for me in the next 3 to 5 years is to be able to do more of what we're doing. I'd like to do more of this. I'd like to do less of just kind of trying to make sure like the admin stuff is on point. Like if
what you and I are doing in the show, or like what you're doing in your business.
Yeah, I would like to do more like what we're doing on the show, and all that. I would love to do this from a beach somewhere, right? But I do have
Me too.
That I still need to put through college a while. But yes, my goal is just to keep growing the business, but not. I know that a lot of people like to abuse this phrase, but it's what do they say? Work smarter, not harder. But unfortunately, with inflation and with how things are post-COVID, we've had to work harder just to maintain the lifestyle we've had prior, So depending on how the economy moves forward and things like that, I'm just going to keep doing what we're doing and just go from there. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I like that. Real quick, because it made me think about goals. You have some really big goals. How do you go about setting your goals? When you look at your 3 to 5 year plan, how do you document them, or how do you set your goals?
So I do have a financial planner now that I've been working with, and he's been very realistic on where these goals will end up. I'll also tell you that when I first started, if we're going to rewind again back when I started the brand in 2014, that company that I used to work for, they're the largest paint contracting broker in North America. So I made it I wanted to be the second largest because they had a 30-year head start on me. So that was my goal. And that's why all those franchises were starting to pop up so quickly. But I then had to pump the brakes, because there is such a thing of growing too fast where you can grow out of yourself to where you end up failing. And I didn't want that. So I had to take a step back on the overzealousness of trying to reach that second largest paint contracting broker goal that I so. But this financial planner that I've gotten so far in the construction side, he's just been allowing us to keep growing, but at a steady pace, but without like getting over our budget, or like when it comes to marketing, for example, or anything else. But we have to have a specific reserve in order to sustain anything happen in the last 5 years, right? A lot of companies have gone downhill, and because of not having a healthy reserve. So having one, we had one, it was really healthy, but we had to utilize a lot of it in the last 2 years that were down years for us. And then this year, we're able to put more in due to the financial planner. So
that's good advice.
Yeah.
Very good advice. Okay, I want to have a little fun and head into our rapid fire questions. All right?
Sure.
Okay, let's do this. Okay, what do you think is the key to success for you?
Putting God first. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it was not for my Lord and Savior. So that's real talk.
Yeah, real talk. What is your one piece of advice for other business owners?
Allow your, I like to say the word family, allow your to feel like they are family and that they are extremely valued. How you show that to them is up to you, but I like to make them feel like they're always wanted, desired, and needed 24/7. And I have specific ways I do that for them, because it goes by the individual, not the same. They don't want always the same reward, you know. So it just, if you can minimize it to the individual, then you'll be able to have a fantastic staff. It's taken me 10 years to build the staff I have right now. You know.
Do you use any kind of personality tests to know what their individual needs are?
So yes and no. When I went to school, it was for it was for psychological sciences and early childhood development. So I use that with every single person. Yourself right now. I mean, like I said, I like to make people laugh. So I'm glad that you've been doing this, and this has been on, by the way, because this makes the show so much more smoother. And it just allows us to for you to have more listeners, right? People are going to be like, that show is awesome. I want to go to that.
That's right.
We're
doing a good job. We're doing a good job today. So. Isn't it great how nothing's left for naught? Like your whole journey has led to this, even your degree that you really do use. Okay, book or podcast? What are you reading right now that's really inspiring you?
What's really inspiring me is
or a book you've read, like a book that you recommend all the time.
Again, this is going to sound very cliche, but I'm super into my faith right now. So like, I'm going to say the Bible straight up, because
that's great.
That gives me structure and discipline too. It also gives me hope. It gives me ways to handle things that I'm not prepared for, and implement that in business, you know, but in a positive way, not utilizing it and then trying to twist words around to fit my narrative. I don't believe in that whatsoever. So I've just been really, you know, kicking back and letting God take the wheel now.
That's awesome.
That works for me.
That's good. That's a good book recommendation.
Yes.
Okay. This is a really fun question. If you had magic dust that could sprinkle it in one spot on your business, where would you sprinkle it?
Dallas Fort Worth.
And why is that? Is that where one of your franchises are?
It is, and it's probably the toughest market in the state, mainly because it's very cliquish in the Dallas Fort Worth market. So if you're not born and raised and you haven't known a lot of people there for quite some time, or if you're not consistently in the networks, like every single minute of every single day spending lots and lots of money on marketing, then yeah, it's going to be a tough market to tap into. So if I had more time, I would be spending more time there than anything else, because the company based out of Austin. So I know I live out here and all that. The thing is that this is solidified now. Central Texas is cool. And what I like about Houston is that it's very good old boy. So, as long as you're doing things the right way and people see that you're doing things the right way over there, then they're just going to be like, yeah, that Ron is a good old boy. Let's go ahead and get. And then, San Antonio is, I like to say, is a la familia. It's all about family in San Antonio. So if you can get in with the family, you're in. All the cousins love you, the aunts and uncles love you, and they'll do business with you, And so that's what I like about that market too. And then the border towns like El Paso and down in the valley, McAllen, Harlingen, Brownsville, similar to each other. And if you have any kind of roots there, whether it's from bloodline or whether it's from just business in general, are willing to give you opportunities over there. Now, it is a little bit more difficult because it's right on the border, especially in construction. They're always getting people from the other side coming in today at a really, really cheap rate. But then you get what you pay for, right? So at the same time, we still have opportunities down there that we're able to get, especially when it comes to like government contracts and things like that. So, yeah.
It sounds like your Texas area and audience very well.
Yeah.
So that's good.
We come back here a lot because when I was traveling to the other states, trying to get to know the people there and the mindset markets there, Texas was rapidly growing. And I'm like, feeling like I'm getting out of touch with my people. What's going on, right? And so because I was literally in Colorado, I was in Florida, I was trying to get Tennessee and Georgia going, and these were just and those are great areas. I'm still wanting to do that. So I guess to go back to the question is 3 to 5 years. Yes, I'd like to get those popping, those states.
Yeah, friend. Yeah, I like that. All right, before we get to the last question of the day, share with everyone listening how they can follow you or get in touch, or in your website and information, all that good stuff.
Sure. Our website is www.mainstreamconstruction.com. You're also able to go onto that podcast. Like I said, Reimagine, Remodel, Restore is the name of the podcast. We're also on Twitter, or now X. We are on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We are all and have an A+ rating with the BBB. We are literally consistently trying to market. So in our networks, because that has been the consistent revenue that's allowed us to sustain and maintain and grow.
Yeah, smart. Okay, for the last question of the day, what is most inspiring you today?
What's most inspiring me is my daughter. So she's 5, she's gonna be 6 in November. And she's been my little helper since she was a year old, just kind of me with like in daddy's office and stuff like that. And now she's doing really well in math. She's in kindergarten at the moment. And I'm finding out that she's killing it in math. So because watching daddy do his thing here, and it makes me very proud. So of course, I'm just going to keep going for her. I want to see eventually take over this business.
Oh, wow.
I always tell her, you're tired now.
I love that. I love that. Well, Ron, this was an awesome conversation. You did make it fun, and made it fun for our audience. So I really appreciate it. So I just want to encourage everyone that's watching to save this show and come back and watch it, because Ron really did have some great insights and inspirational nuggets too. So thank you, Ron, for being with us, with me today and sharing your story. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it as well.
Of course. Of course. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so that you get notifications every time a new conversation drops, just like this one. Bye.
Bye.